you would have probably seen from our flyer, he is quite an accomplished person in the field of robotics. But by way of introduction,
rest a little bit. I found myself working sometimes 12 to 18 hours a day in my field with the Toronto District School Board.
Well, you could have made a robot to do the work.
Yes, because when you get hooked on robots, it really teases you and your imagination goes places where you never thought it could go. And you're always trying to conquer the next act, the next program, the next task.
Right.
So you kind of develop an attitude of you need to find out more and more and more. And what robotics did for me, I'll draw an example for you. If you buy a car, what cars do to us is that you have a car, something is wrong, you need a mechanic. You need to change tires. You need electrical people maybe to look at your alternator, your fuses. If you get in an accident, you need a straightener, painter. So what robotics did for me, I used it as a vehicle to develop different digital technologies. I got involved in CNC machining, I got involved in 3D printing, I got involved with CAD. And I
just for the education of our viewers, you just tell them what the CNC and the CAD stands for.
Or CNC means computerized numerical control machining. There are different types of CNC machines. The ones I used were the CNC lathe, the CNC mill, and the CNC router.
Well, you would just put them the feedstock and then it programs.
Yeah, so you have to, the program that I used was Mastercam. So the kids were taught how to draw, you must know cards, so they know how to draw and then how to use the software to program those machines. Because when you're dealing with robots and you have to make parts, these parts must be accurate.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to get them accurate manually. So when we produce parts, it was always with the CNC machines.
Right.
Because the competitions that we participated in, we had to develop, they give us a game, they give us a task to do, and we have to develop a robot from scratch.
Oh.
So we have to build the frame, we get the components, we have to build the frame, we have to come up with our ideas for it to play a game. I'll give you an example. One year we had a competition where we had to play basketball. So you have to pick up these basketballs and shoot them in a net. One year we had soccer, where you had to go over some mounds and kick balls into a goal, right? So the whole digital community here benefits, and my guys would benefit because they started to do CNC machining, right? They won numerous awards for that. CAD, they won numerous awards for that. We were successful in robotic competition, and I started to attract the smart kids. That's what makes my work easier for me, because the kids who came to me are the kids who wanted to be there, right? But so it was a nice mix, so I used the smart kids to pull.
Well, we believe all children are smart.
Yes.
We believe everyone is smart. It's just that sometimes people have different types of intelligence.
Yes.
You know? And as we say in TVET, in terms of the parity of esteem, in terms of the academics, you have persons doing academics, but you also have persons in TVET, and with that, that's also another skill.
Yes.
Yeah. So these persons, they're probably skilled in that area. They have an aptitude for it in that area, in terms of robotics and so on. Yeah. And machine learning.
Because in my class, I would have the kids who like programming. That's what they want to do, program. So they got involved in, I had kids who came to me and they would like, Mr. Straker, I want to join a robotics class, and I would like, do you know how to program? No. But by the time I reached back in September, I know how to program. And these kids would go home and learn online and learn robotics and come back to and say things like, hey, I know Java, I know C++, I know Python. And I would be like, did you go to school to do these courses? They said, no, we did it on our own. So it challenged kids because when you're able to take a program and make something move and make something perform a task with that software, it really helps them lift themselves up, right? And I'm always satisfied that I didn't have to do much programming, right? Robotics in Trinidad and Tobago is very important for us. I'm going to tell you why it's important for us. The same way how I said it could be used as a vehicle to carry different digitalized machinery, we have to invest in something that brings people to us. That is our resources. We no longer in the oil and gas is on its downturn. So what we have to do, we have to make our kids really smart. We have to make our kids understand how to use CNC machines. A few years ago, I took my class to Cambridge to Fanuc, a CNC manufacturing firm. And as I walked in the door, there was a CNC machine there, a lathe, CNC lathe.
Right.
And there wasn't any person operating that machine. They had a robotic arm that opened the door, took out the part that was just machined, placed it in its place, took the stock, put it inside the truck, closed the door, and the machine, with the sensors, the machine started to run again, and I was like, where have I been? So that's how fast technology is advancing. We need to get there.
Right. And we need to have a skilled population.
We need to have a skilled population, because if we skilled, they would come to us.
That's an interesting point you raised, because I remember, you know, in today's economy, a lot of products are manufactured in China. And the contemporary thinking is sometimes that it's probably just cheaper to manufacture. But that's not the be-all and end-all of it. A deeper dive shows that China invests a significant amount of money in the training and development of the skills of its workers. So that's why, you know, in America you have they probably would have the technology and innovation there, but in China you have the skills, you have the skilled workers who are skilled at developing these iPhones, skilled in manufacturing and so on. And it's because of that investment in training and development for TVET.
Yes.
That's what makes them such a manufacturing powerhouse.
Yeah.
It's not just the scale of economies that think, or the labor rate is cheaper there or something like that. It's also about the skill development of the persons.
In COVID had a tremendous amount on effect on the workforce worldwide.
Yeah.
Since 2020, companies have invested in 2.7 million different types of robots. I've seen where America has slowly started to pull back all her manufacturing from China back home to the USA.
Yeah.
And we need piece of that.
Definitely.
We need to train our skills, our force, that we have the skills here, we could do the job too. We could be skilled here, our students could be very versed in CNC machining, programming. These are the areas that companies have a look at. Once we have the educated workforce that is technologically equipped, people would come here.
It's interesting that you would have mentioned, in terms of programming and so on, there's a very thin line, it seems, between the artificial intelligence and programming and robotics.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, this is an age test for me. I remember a long time ago when we used to have these dial-up modems, you used to see a little logo on US Robotics.
Mm-hmm.
And so I used to wonder why this is a dial-up something. How is that a robot? You know? But I understand the issue of the programming and so on. Yeah. So, anyway, another question. Are you currently collaborating with any institutions in robotics training? And if so, could you elaborate on the nature of this partnership and how it contributes to the development of robotic skills and knowledge in Trinidad and Tobago.
In 2020, when I set up my shop, it was important for me to understand how the learner learns, because I've been out of this loop for quite some time.
Right.
So what I did, I invited teenagers first into my workshop to learn robotics, to understand, to take my survey to see what goes on in their mind. It was hurtful to see that our young people don't have mechanical skills, much mechanical skills. You know, so I spent some time with them with that. I had to speak to them on several occasions about housekeeping. Right, like our system isn't preparing them to use their hands and minds and technology. Okay, so I tried that was teenagers who were going to
this is a
secondary schools.
juxtaposition from your experience in first world countries like Canada and so on. Okay.
And I okay, I know what's happening with this group. But out of that group, I got one kid who fell in love with programming. Right? He was in his senior year at Pleasantville Senior Sec, and he's at UWI doing computer science, which I'm so happy. Because what I do with him now, anytime I need programming done, I call him to make him feel useful that he have learned something. This is the way how you could show what you learn. So my next part was now that I needed to let me look at the primary school students and see what they have. So I started to work with primary school kids from 9 to 12. And it was amazing to see the kind of reaction that I got from them. They weren't time, they weren't bothered with their cell phones like the older kids. They stayed focused, they hardly spoke to each other. And I started to teach them blueprint reading, how to read a drawing, how to assemble the robot, because we use kits.
Right, okay.
How to assemble the robots, and I like to remove myself from them and sit somewhere else because I want to observe how they learn. And the kind of experience that I got from the first set in August, the August camp, it was amazing. These kids put together robots, and we use a robot controller, we program it, and they drove their robots, and all that was done in 1 week, by the way. 4 days a week, 5 days, it was 6 days, 4 hours. They completed.
What did the kit benchmark say the time frame should have been? Was it within the time frame or outside of the time frame, or well within?
Well, because it was focused on robotics, but besides that, if I have to do it, I will have to bring in a little card to show them how to draw a part, how to develop a robot, how to model their robot through 3D printing and things like that. But because it was so robot focused, they just were so focused on completing this task. Presently, I have 2 kids, 9 and 12. I have Saturday classes from 9 to 12. So I decided to go a little step higher and teach them programming. Now, I always believe that if you're doing something for the first time, it's supposed to be easy. So what do? I teach the hard stuff. And I spend time with them because I know it will take a little time. So I teach them the hard stuff. I have my kids now, they're programming in C. And they're 9 and 12. And now that I sit back and they come in and they're like, okay, I said, look, I need my robot to pass through some hooks here. All right, write your program, and they would just open the computers and start typing. And I would be like, wow, look at these kids. This is the age that I feel that we need to focus on.
Okay, so the younger
because we get them young, they're innocent. You could tell them anything. And they'll absorb it because they like what they do.
It's not only that. Remember, these kids are digital natives.
Yeah.
They're born into technology.
Yeah. And we have to remember too, when we have kids pre-kindergarten growing up, we buy toys and they put the ball in the hole and we say, oh, my kid likes to use his hands and he likes to do that.
Yeah.
But when they attend primary school, there's a big void because we focus on academics.
Yeah.
We need to bring back structures, teach kids how to do what the importance of structures, build bridges. I entered competition building bridges with pallet sticks, and then they would bring these weights and see which bricks and things like that, right? So we need to bring back technology into primary school, but we must not neglect the secondary school.
Well, as you say that, we recently had an international robotics competition, which I presume you might know about, that the team from Presentation College Robotics participated in Singapore in, I think, an international robotics. I'm not sure if you...
I have been following Presentation College for a long while now.
Right.
In Canada, I used to kind of liaise with their mentor.
Right.
And I always liked what he was doing because I found, well, you know, you have teams from Afghanistan, teams from Africa, teams from India, teams from South America. So if Trinidad is there, I'm like, yeah, I wave my red, white, and black.
Of course.
And I was happy that somebody was at least starting to run with robotics.
Right.
I went to, they participated in the first global competition in Singapore this year. So I went to the school and I met the teacher. Oh, she's a hard worker, you know. They take all these guys and I saw their robot and I had a little talk for them like, hey guys, you know, remember if you always have to have 3-4 plans in mind when you go into robotics. You have 3 minutes for a game. So if plan A don't work, you have to have plan B.
Yeah.
And so they get that experience. So I'm happy that we have, maybe we should have more.
Definitely. So in that regard, right, there is a upcoming autonomous mobile robotics competition in Lyon in 2024. And this presents an exciting opportunity for Trinidad and Tobago. How do you plan to prepare a team for this competition, and what benefits do you anticipate for the participants and the broader robotics community in the country?
And you should say that Studica, which is responsible for World Skills, they have outfitted my workshops in Canada from machines to robotic kits. I have been with them for 15 years,
right,
while I was working. I have a very close relationship with them. And they want the Caribbean to get involved. The only Caribbean country that is involved in robotics is Jamaica. Jamaica is the leader in robotics in the Caribbean. Amazing.
No, it's Jamaica is always one of our Caribbean.
We need to get involved. So what Jamaica is doing, Jamaica is like the big brother now in robotics, because what Jamaica is doing, Jamaica has a World Skills Robotics Forum in January for 4 days. So what they did, they invited teams from all over the world. So Studica would be bringing down their personnel there to have workshops.
Okay.
And I hope we are able to attend and train for the robotic competition that we're supposed to have sometime in Lyon.
Yeah.
I just hope we could attend there, because it's important that we network. We have Mexico will be coming, Dominican Republic will be coming, Barbados is into robotics. You know, I follow who's into robotics in the Caribbean. We need to go into robotics big time, because if we do this, the kind of energy and the kind of digital transformation that we would have, we could see manufacturing, automation, CNC, we could see electronics.
Right.
It's a vehicle that could really the tentacles of this vehicle could reach far and wide into areas that we need to get our human resources that we have working. You know, we can no longer sit down and say, you know what, we don't have oil, we don't have gas. Hey, our greatest source here is us. We have to utilize our brain, you know. What I have been observing too is that I want to do the robotics. How do I reach out? What do I reach out? What do I do? I feel that the first group we're supposed to reach out to is the population. We have to reach out to the population first for them to get involved. The same way how we had Better Village, we need communities to get involved, because if Ma and Pa and Grandpa and everybody gets involved and able to carry their community and say, this is my robot that we built. This robot is from Point 14. This robot is from Pleasantville, right? And we get the older heads involved. We could then take robots now and say, okay, we have a rationale now. We need to develop this in schools because I'm seeing what good it's doing for my kids.
Sure.
Right? So I'm working with a team. We're putting together a team right now to work with, hopefully, I would like
the
NTA to be on board, because we all have to make a contribution. As I always say, I can go far, but we could go further. Right? And we need Trinidad and Tobago to get back on its right path. We need to engage our young people, because so much of them are dropping out of school because they feel lost. Academic is not for them. Are we doing the right academics? Are we doing the right technical areas that engage them fully? Right? Because what kids have, each kid now have a computer in their hand.
Yep.
Right? What are they using it for? Okay, social media? No. Use it to research. Use it to find out, go to YouTube, understand how business works. Right? Understand how I can make this product. Everything here is within our hands. Right? So we need to channel all that energy in being productive, because we almost like we feel that we lose in a battle with them, and we cannot give up.
I mean, there are many different public commentators in Trinidad and Tobago, and they've always advocated that with our crime problem in Trinidad and Tobago, one definite solution is the advent of TVET that could trade in vocational education and technology is something that could pull back Trinidad and Tobago from the brink. So that's a wonderful idea and very innovative approach in terms of saying you have best village type competition where you have sort of competition, so to speak, which robot could do probably better in shooting a football into a goal or holding a ball. Somebody have to hit people and back.
As a matter of fact, one of the first things I did when I came here, I already developed the game. I created the game.
Okay.
Right? I'll give you an insight into it. I didn't give you any, I just named the game. The game is called Gigo. Garbage in, garbage out. What Gigo is supposed to do, it's an environmental game where robots have to empty trash cans.
Okay.
So how we should look at robots in the Caribbean is what game do we use how to affect our environment? Look at the garbage, look at can we do a tree planting competition where we get robots to plant trees?
Right.
You know that they go against each other.
So fulfilling a social cause at the same time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know? Yeah. And I hope that we could really sit down and really take a look and understand the value of this type of technology, especially in the digital transformation age.
Yeah.
We need everybody to get on board. We can no longer sit down and play a blame game. We need to pull back our youths, because they belong to us.
Sure. And I agree with you 100%. And in that regard, it's not just about us in Trinidad and Tobago, but the Caribbean as a whole.
Yes.
Yeah, we all share a common background in the Caribbean. And, when one of us benefits, all of us will benefit. So to that end, in terms of collaboration and resource sharing among Caribbean countries, which have been mentioned as a potential avenue for developing robotics in the region, can you explain your thoughts on the formation of a regional association, so to speak, of world skills in the Caribbean and the benefits that it could bring to the participating countries in terms of knowledge exchange, skills development, and advancing robotics development in the Caribbean?
Anything that is created, you always feel that it must be from the outside. The Caribbean have brilliant people. We have universities in the Caribbean. It's time we step forward and start to create our own. The robotics competition that we participate in is from outside,
Okay.
right? So we could do that. Be more in tune with how we feel, be more in tune with what's happening to us, be more in tune with what our environment looks like. We need to start developing and knowing that we have to do for us. We cannot continue to let our life be dictated by outside forces.
True.
We have forgotten how it is to create. We have forgotten how it is to think. You walk from anywhere in Trinidad and Tobago and look around you, everything that we have is imported from outside. We could do that. Why do we import so many things that we know that we have the ability to produce here?
And even produce and export.
And produce, exactly. We have to start believing in us again. Gone is the days where you could go into a country and take raw materials and use it. We have to study well. You know what one of the areas I would do with my kids? I would have them to look for minerals. Where you get that? Where you find a cheap source of iron ore? Where you find magnesium? Where you find this and where you find that? Because that's how they are taught, how to look for raw materials.
Yeah.
Right?
We don't really add value
No.
to the value chain.
Right? So we need to believe in ourselves because we can do this. We could start producing what we see, what we import. Right? You want to put Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean to work? We have to start taking our youths and teaching them how to design. Design is not just for carnival. Look what we do for carnival. Look at that. Look at the kind of effort and energy is there. That same effort and energy could be used to help funnel our technological development.
Yeah.
And this is what I hope. Too much of creativity is just going by the wayside because we lost focus.
We have a lot of untapped potential.
Yes, because these kids, I tell you, I'm working with 9 and 12-year-olds, and when I see what they could do, I'm like, wow, good. They're getting ready. It's time for us. We're talking about what you think about world robotics competition in terms of the Caribbean. It's time we put out a skills competition and have people from outside come and play our game. Come and play the Caribbean game.
Oh, but they come though?
They would come because, listen to me, in winter, because most robotic competition is in winter, they come into the hot sun.
Okay.
I had a team, I had a friend, I would be like, where are you participating this year? He's in Hawaii. because he was at a really affordable school, and he would take his kids to compete in Hawaii because he said he want to get away from the cold.
So we could leverage our natural endowments
So yeah,
in terms of
you know, the
these.
same way how we have people coming here for carnival for a week or for 4 days to jump up because it's cold in North America. Let us put a robotics competition in the middle of winter, right here. We're going to get schools involved. We're going to get people coming here. We're going to put Trinidad and Tobago on the map, right? And then when companies realize that that's the type of advancement we are going towards, they would come. All we have to do is to make our general population smarter. Right? They need help. We all need help. We just cannot give up. We have to work at getting better.
Definitely. There's a lot of potential. I agree with you. There's a lot of potential for the development of robotics, and we can see that, as you said, you see it in other countries.
Yes.
Why can't we do that as
Right,
well?
exactly.
And definitely we need a thrust towards that. We used to be an oil and gas based economy, and there's been talk, ad nauseum about diversification away from that. And this is one avenue in which to do it. But to do that, you need to focus on the training and development.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen just like that. So definitely. So this has been a wonderful talk and discussion. Do we have any questions from any viewers? Okay, so it would have been so pedestal that we. So, Mr. Straker, are there any closing comments that you would have on this issue?
It have a reason why we're here. We have to make it come. We are ready to pass the baton to the next generation.
Right.
Let's make sure the baton goes into their hands. Okay. Sometimes we have to just forget about ourselves and look at the bigger picture. If things are falling apart, we need to fix it. We cannot erase the mistakes that we see in front of us. We have to look at the root problem and realize that our education needs revisiting because something is going wrong, and we are paying for that daily, not just here, throughout the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Right? As the international country close their borders to immigration, we have to stay right here and fight. We have to stay right here and build. We have to show the world that we could do this. This is a point, this is a time for us to just get up and get busy.
Sure. Okay, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Straker, thank you very much for sharing your experience and insight into this topic, the future of robotics and skills required in Trinidad and Tobago. The NTA again thanks you for your participation in our webinar series, and we hope to have you again and probably some more demonstrations.
Well, I was talking earlier on, and I said, you know what, I would like to bring the kids that that I'm training, and I will let them carry on their workshop and let you question them.
Sure.
Because we need them to grow. Right? And sometimes when the kids come to me and they're shy, and I'm like, hey, you can't be shy here, right? Shy. You want to be a leader, you want to be a player in this world, you cannot be shy here. So I would like to, to showcase these kids, for you all to question them about their programming, about their build, and you see the type of kids that robotics for.
Yes, no, I always believe that the best form of advertising is your product.
Yes.
That your product sells itself.
Yes.
So if you can, we can definitely speak about that. You have the kids, your students come and demonstrate what they have learned and so on. And that could be, an approach that persons who are viewing the webinars and so on could take back. And they'll have a much better idea of, the discussions are, very theoretical in nature. when you see where the rubber hits the road, when they can tell you what they do and,
Yes.
and what their perspective and so on, that's always very exciting.
Yes.
So we can look forward to that, and I think we can close this program at this juncture. And again, thank you very much to our viewing audience.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mr. Straker.